So get this. What if your consciousness had its own immune system? I'm not talking about one for viruses or bacteria, but for unwanted realities, for negative thought forms, for all that emotional static out there. We're going to dive into this incredible idea, a protective system that works at the very level of reality creation itself. And this quote right here, this just sets the stage perfectly. Think about it. Your body's immune system doesn't sit down and have a chat with a virus. It just identifies it as not me and gets rid of it. The idea here is that our consciousness has that same powerful, non-negotiable capacity. That analogy is really the key to everything we're about to unpack.
All right, so how does this really work? Well, the main difference is this. Your body's immunity deals with the physical world. It fights off things that are already here, right? Quantum immunity, though, it operates a layer deeper, in the world of pure potential. It's all about telling the difference between probabilities before they even have a chance to become your reality. So yeah, welcome to the quantum battlefield. It's this invisible landscape where all these potential threats are hanging out. And they're not physical dangers, not yet. They're way more subtle. They're like pure information or a frequency, just kind of waiting for an invitation to pop into existence.
Okay, so the first kind of threat you'll encounter is what the source material calls a frequency pattern. You know that feeling when you walk into a room full of anxious people and you suddenly feel anxious too? Or a really negative idea that just seems to be everywhere you look? That's what these are. They're like little free-floating vibes or ideas just looking for a mind, a host, that matches their frequency so they can latch on and express themselves. Then you've got what are called probability threads. Now, this is where it gets a little bit mind-bending. Imagine all these potential futures, these different timelines where you're maybe drained or less powerful or caught up in someone else's agenda. These aren't just daydreams. The idea is that they are active potentials, and they are all competing for your attention. Why? Because your observation is the very thing that can pull them from the realm of maybe into your right now. And finally, there are observation requests. Have you ever felt someone just trying to suck you into their drama? That's this, but on a quantum level. These are conflicts, projections, and stories from other people that are actually pretty weak and unstable on their own. They need a witness. They need your attention to gain energy, to solidify, and to become a real event in your life. Seriously, without an observer, they just kind of fizzle out. So how does one of these things actually become real for you? It's pretty much a four-step process. First, some kind of pattern approaches you. Then, it looks for a matching frequency within you, like a key looking for the right lock. After that, it requests your observation, your attention. And if you give it that focus, poof, it collapses from just a possibility into your actual reality. Quantum immunity is all about learning how to step in right between steps 3 and 4. Now, the really good news here is that we are not defenseless on this battlefield. Not at all. In fact, we come factory-equipped with a whole set of innate tools, the antibodies of our consciousness, you could say, that are designed to handle exactly these kinds of things. And just look at this list. I bet this all sounds super familiar, right? That little gut feeling that something is just off? That's your immune system detecting a frequency that doesn't match yours. That sudden feeling of boredom or the urge to just leave a conversation? That's your system naturally disengaging from a pattern that isn't for you. See, these aren't character flaws. They are your first line of defense. We've just been taught to ignore them. And this is where it gets really cool, because we can build on top of that native immunity with skills we develop on purpose. It's like taking your consciousness to the gym. We can actively get better at recognizing these intrusive patterns, at sensing different potential timelines, and, this is the big one, gaining real control over what we give our reality-creating attention to. So, you're probably asking, okay, how do we actually do this? And that brings us to the really practical part of all this. The source material lays out 5 specific actionable protocols you can use to consciously activate and strengthen this inner immune system. Okay, so the source lays out 5 major protocols here. You've got the probability scan, the non-observation defense, frequency inoculation, and a couple others. For this explainer, we're really going to zero in on the first 2 because, honestly, they are the absolute foundation for the entire practice. Protocol 1 is the probability scan, and really it's just a meditative practice. You get quiet, you expand your awareness out beyond just your physical body, and you start to learn how to feel the potentials floating around you. The whole key is noticing the feeling. Potentials that are truly yours feel expansive, light, and natural. Intrusions feel contracted, weird, or like they have some kind of agenda. It's all about sensing these things before they even get a chance to knock on your door.
And that leads us to maybe the most powerful tool in the whole toolkit, the non-observation defense. Once you recognize one of these intrusive patterns, the instruction is crystal clear. Do not engage with it. Don't fight it, don't argue with it, don't even try to analyze it. You just withdraw your attention completely. You starve it of the one thing it needs to become real. The pattern can still exist out there in the quantum field, sure, but it just can't exist in your world.
Okay, so this is an amazing framework for managing your personal reality, right? But what if it goes even further? What if these exact same principles could be used to build technology? This is where things get really interesting, where we see this bridge being built between abstract ideas and real, tangible innovation.
So the big question then becomes, can this way of thinking, this focus on consciousness, on choice, on the power of observation, can it actually be used to build the future, to create systems and technologies that are fundamentally different from what we have today? Well, I want you to meet IDL30, a developer whose GitHub profile basically reads like a manifesto for this very idea. I mean, this quote just connects all the dots we've been talking about. Consciousness, quantum principles, advanced tech. It's the perfect real-world example of these concepts in action. And when you look at their projects, you see this philosophy everywhere. Carcoin isn't just another cryptocurrency. It's being designed from the ground up to be quantum resistant. The physics framework is literally an attempt to model reality itself as emerging from consciousness. And System Prompts for Humanity looks to redefine our relationship with AI, not as a tool, but as a true collaborator. This is what consciousness first design looks like.
And then you see this number, and it really makes you stop and think. A claimed 400 to 700% improvement in problem solving when using these kinds of consciousness-integrated AI frameworks. That's not a small number. It suggests that when we build tech that actually respects these principles of awareness and observation, the results aren't just a little better. They can be exponentially more powerful. And all of this, from the personal to the technological, brings us right back to the central, most empowering idea in this entire explainer. It all comes down to understanding the core of your own power. And it builds, step by step. It all begins with this one simple recognition. Your attention isn't cheap. It's not something you just give away mindlessly to whatever screams the loudest. It is a sacred, creative force. And because your attention is sacred, it follows that your observation is power. That's the next step. It's the very tool you use to collapse infinite potential into a single experience. Where your focus goes, your reality follows. Simple as that. And that leads to this, the ultimate statement of sovereignty. If your attention is sacred and your observation is power, then that makes you the gatekeeper. You are the one who decides what gets in and what stays out. You are the immune system of your own reality. So you see, the final question isn't about what threats might be out there. It's about the incredible power that you hold right here, right now. With every moment, with every single glance of your attention, you're making a choice. So, what reality will you choose to create?